Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and villainy. My name is Tyler Bucks.
And my name is Logan Hansaker. What is up, you rebel scum?
I'm always afraid when we do that go in together, we're just going to bang heads and we're just going to be knocked out for a solid hour
That'll be
until
the live stream.
someone sends an ambulance here. They geolocate us.
Or Crypto decides to finally break his way up the door and finds us.
Your dog, not Superman's dog.
Nope, Superman's dog.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. What are we talking about today, Logan?
We are talking about Astromechs. More importantly, the top 10 Astromechs in the Star Wars universe. So anyone who's just seen one Star Wars movie knows the importance of droids throughout the galaxy. Whether they're repairing a damaged hull or they're fixing a plot with exposition, droids always come through right at the moment they are needed, serving both a practical as well as filling a companion role for our heroes through the dark, cold void we know as space.
Or just life in general. That dark void of space, life.
Space, life, it's all synonymous.
So we're going to be talking about, some great astromechs in the Star Wars universe. And it's important to realize that astromechs have moved on from when we just knew them as the three-legged companions.
The R series.
The R series. That now they are balls.
They're just, yep. I
was supposed to keep going with that. Like BB-8. BB-8 is an astromech. It's basically what type of job they're doing. That's what makes them an astromech. So we were confused when we were researching too. We're like, wait, is BB-8 a astromech? Yes, it is.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Stop thinking that past us.
Don't even think it.
So let's move on to our first one here, number 10. Now, this was Logan's, he was lobbying for these guys hardcore. These are the Naboo droids that we saw in the Phantom Menace. Logan, talk about these guys.
So these are all of the astromechs on the Nubian Royal Starship. Basically in the Phantom Menace when they were trying to, there they are. They're all popping out of the center of us.
We're like a bouquet of astromechs.
Yeah, how pretty. When they were going through the blockade, they were trying to get away, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Padme, all them.
Yeah.
And these astromechs were the ones that went on top of the ship and were repairing the shield generators as they were all getting picked off.
Heroes, as some people would like to call them.
Heroes. They walked so that R2-D2 could run.
These ones walked? Yeah, I was about to say, wow.
They rolled so he could roll a little bit faster. And I think we do have a special picture from the filming of the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think somewhere we have an action. And there it is, yeah.
I don't know. Where did you find this?
That's actually, that's from Wikipedia. That was a shot from the. From the film.
No, I don't think so. Because just look how big they are. They came out of the ship. They're about the size of the ship.
Well, that's the thing, that the ship wasn't doing too hot, and as they were kind of getting pinged off, that's why it was doing better. They were actually just weighing it down. Because it was able to go
faster.
Yeah, they were.
That's what they were doing. They gave them a BS job to do. Oh, hey, go fix the thing.
Yeah, shield generators. Like someone's just whoop, 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 making all the noises with their mouth.
Oh, the shield generators are down. You gotta go stop them.
It's like the character from Police Academy. The sound effects.
Yeah, exactly.
But as you can see too, R2-D2 did come out last, so I think it's just a waiting game. I don't think he's necessarily a more superior droid. I think he just let all of the other ones get blasted off, only to come in and
throwing droid shade at the droids.
Hey. I'm just saying. It's in our show.
Well, okay. Let's move on to number 9, and number 9 is R5D4, or better known as Skippy. So R5D4 sometimes is known as the droid that kicked off all of Star Wars, basically.
But he didn't have the motivation.
It's okay. R5. I have a bad motivator too sometimes, but this little guy is the one who blew up when Uncle Owen was trying to buy him and some other droids. And it inevitably causes them to choose R2-D2 instead. So without R5, like I mentioned before, all of Star Wars really couldn't have happened because you had to get the whole message to Luke and everything, to Obi-Wan, etc. But in the Legends storylines, he was known as Skippy, and why he had a name and a backstory and everything is because he was force sensitive.
That's right.
In Legends. And basically what he was doing on Tatooine was, his normal droid type stuff. But then he realized when he got bought by Uncle Owen, how important it was that R2-D2 went with them.
Right.
So he literally sacrificed himself. He blew himself up in order for R2-D2 to go along, because he could sense through the Force that this was going to be the most important thing to do.
Right. He understood his destiny, and his place was, and I just want to point out too, again, how many Astromechs have to lay down their lives in order for R2 to thrive and succeed? I mean, we're only on number, I guess is the second one we've done, technically number 9 if we're going backwards, which we are. But on the second one, and this is still a second Astromech that has had to die so that R2 could survive.
Not even a second Astromech. We saw those 4.
Yeah,
this is
true.
the 5th one that had
second
to,
occurrence, 5th
had
Astromech.
to die in order for R2 to move on, and so are we. We're moving on. Logan, talk about Bucket.
So we are talking about Bucket, which is R1J5, commonly known as Bucket, was an R-Series astromech droid owned by Jarek Yeager, the leader of Team Fireball, a racing team headquartered on the Colossus refueling platform.
So this is from Resistance, which Logan and I have watched some of. You know, we always talk about being positive about Star Wars, and part of that comes from understanding what Star Wars is for you at that time. And Resistance is very much for a younger audience. We both like it. We think it's a great show, but it's just not like so engrossing for us to watch all of it and get really entrenched into it. But it would have been the biggest thing for us if we were kids.
Right. Going back and thinking to, I have ice in my mouth.
Why would you do that? I threw it over to you and you just put like a whole iceberg in your mouth?
They were already in there. I had to get rid of them. It was a thing. But yeah, growing up, that definitely would have been a show that we gravitated towards. Like we talked about a little bit briefly, was their hub, the racing area, having the people that could kind of come through. You have drifters coming through, people needing things.
Because we would, play often, like say at my house, we could have pretended my entire house was that facility. Right. And Bucket is just such a fun looking character. It's a great idea of having a astromech without like all of its components protected, so they put a helmet on the top of it. It's just really fun.
And he's got a little fun personality too. I like Bucket.
Yeah, Bucket is really cool. And he didn't like Kaz at the beginning of the show, and he would actually bump into Kaz a lot. So even droids know the importance of helmet safety. So kids, if you're out there watching this, remember, before you run into somebody that you don't like, put on a helmet first.
True.
Logan, talk to us about the next one here. R4, a legend.
R4.
Thank you for giving that.
I thought you were going to say he was in Legends, and I was like, oh,
he was too, but yeah, he is a legend.
R4 P17, P1. No, I guess that is 17. This little lady, Obi-Wan's female droid in the prequel films. Always a reliable partner. R4 was responsible for one of the most important Zoom calls in all of Star Wars.
Yep.
When she sent out Obi-Wan's message about the clones, Dooku, and the new droid army to all of Kenobi's peeps.
Yeah, that's the kind of internet we need. But right before we were starting this stream, our internet was being a little laggy again. We need a good astromech. I thought when I put you together in that mechanic shop to be my new co-host, that you would have been able to fix that type of stuff.
I am not an astromech. I am a co-host, and I demand to be treated like one. Okay?
That's what I put into your brain to think that you were a real person with a whole backstory. Remember, like, I told you all that stuff, that we were kids together and we used to play. I knew you from before you were born. I always say that, right? You think that you're just a year younger than me, but no, you're actually like about 12 months old. Actually, we're coming up on your birthday soon. But yeah, so R4, a big time cool guy. I love red. He's red. Let's move on to one of my other favorite shades, which is black. We're moving into BT1, or just known as BT. Basically the Frankenstein of astromechs. This little murder droid was designed to look like an astromech in order to fool others, and was armed with a variety of weapons. It was basically like a Swiss Army knife of astromechs. He killed the staff of the Tarkin initiative base in which he was created, and then continued to set the base to self-destruct before jettison itself into space. This is mainly seen in the Vader comics,
right?
And also with his, what is it, 000, his evil with like C-3PO. What are the protocol droids?
Right.
So it's like an evil R2-D2 and C-3PO, and I really do love them as a pair that follow Vader around in that comic series.
I like the idea of him just destroying everyone who created him. I love that like Frankenstein story arc.
Yes.
You are brought to life and then you murder everyone who created you.
Yeah, I believe BT also spent like, I think a couple chapters just spying on a family.
Right, just outside of their window.
Outside, like in their shed, just watching them.
Making groaning beeps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No way, I am thinking about Frankenstein now.
Right.
Yeah, I thought Mary Shelley made the Vader comics.
Oh, I think you're actually referring to the monster. Frankenstein's the doctor. And now the Astromech will be taking over the show.
Oh, so now that I'm
an Astromech.
Now that I'm leaving, you're accepting who you actually are. Let's move on to someone that you said you're going to challenge me on. I'm putting him at number 5. I'm putting Chopper at number 5.
Chopper. It's just hard because I'm sure we all know Chopper from Rebels. It's hard to keep him at 5. Now, this is a tight list, and looking at it, I don't know exactly where I would bump him up to, but it does hurt a little bit to see Chopper at 5 because he might be personally one of my favorite Astromechs. I don't think he's my favorite droid, but I love the sass and I love the unpredictability about Chopper. You know, R2-D2, you're going to send him on a mission, he's going to get it done in a pretty linear line or however he needs to, but Chopper, like, he's going to go all the way over here, all the way, bounce around, and do it all with attitude, but still get it done. You know?
I know why you like Chopper so much now, because you guys are so similar.
Right, exactly.
It's like, Logan, let's do an episode. And then I come back 3 days later, and you're like, I figured it out.
I built a whole lab. And it's like, what are you talking about?
We need to do an episode about droids. And you're like, oh, right.
Right. Okay, give me a day to tear this lab down, and then I will get that all started for you.
But yeah, Chopper, he definitely belongs on this list. I just think in terms of working with them, it would be a little bit harder to rein him in.
Yes,
a bit.
That's what I love about him.
Okay,
it's like a lot's making sense now.
Well, for me, I actually like the next one on the list here, number 4, which is R7A7, which is Ahsoka's droid in the Clone Wars. So that's where we first see this droid, who's a fine young gent. That's something else I want to pass along to people. Apparently, astromechs are programmed with a gender, or you know, not all of them, I would say, would be programmed with ones, but some are programmed with specific genders, much like R4, Obi-Wan's was a lady. R7 had a masculine programming. That's what they say. It helped, but this one, R7, was with Ahsoka, and also with Ahsoka at the very end of the Clone Wars. So spoilers if you haven't seen this thing that's almost 2 years old. But
turn it off now.
R7 helped lead other astromechs when Order 66 caused the clones around Ahsoka to turn on her. They were also the astromechs that helped remove Rex's chip and sacrificed themselves for the cause when those pesky clones blasted them in an emotional scene. That was crazy.
Yes.
They were working on getting them out of the ship and everything, and then the clones just turn a corner and just blast them.
Yep.
But not to fear. Don't worry. R7 was rebuilt, and we get to see him in the Bad Batch with the Martez sisters.
Yep.
So we know he's fine. He's over there. He's astromeching it up.
He's projecting Rex in a very ominous, mysterious, bad person way.
Yeah, we just watched that episode, so it's fresh in our minds. But no, I think R7 is a great companion, especially for Ahsoka. And also, I saw a lot, and maybe chat can help me out a little bit here. I forget what the name of the owl thing that is the manifestation of the sister, and it follows Ahsoka around now.
Right.
The colors of that owl and the colors of this droid are very similar. People were putting that together, the tans and greens. And I thought that was maybe some good foreshadowing that they were able to add in there.
Interesting. Yeah, I like R7. And like we were just talking about with Chopper, I think that's why I couldn't bump Chopper up, is just because even though I like his personality a little more, and you know, just because he's spunky, in terms of like storyline and what they did for the cause.
Yes,
R7, like that ending scene of them locking Rex all down to keep him by himself, and then they go in and distract him, and then stun him, and then help get the chip. Like, I love Chopper, but R7, really came through. And the other droids, like you said, the other astromech, I think there was like 3 other ones or 2 other ones.
I think so too.
That was killer.
Chad is saying in the chat, Moray Was it called Amore?
That's Amore.
That's Amore. When the sister dies and she can now fly, that's Amore.
That's Amore.
Okay, let's stop singing and let's move on to the next one, which is BB-8. I mean, how could we not put him very high into this?
Yes.
Because BB-8, much like R2 did, a lot of people sacrificed themselves for the cause to get BB-8 back to the resistance. You know, Poe basically sacrificed himself at the very beginning of the whole episode 7
to let him go on. Yeah.
So tell them a little bit about BB-8 while I get knocked out.
Yeah, BB-8. So thinking back to The Force Awakens all those years ago when it hadn't come out yet.
Yes.
Can you remember it, Tyler?
I remember exactly what I was doing when I first saw that trailer.
You remember exactly.
Yeah. Past host Mike Calhoun, I was working with his sister actually at a bagel shop, and I just happened to see it on my phone, and I watched it in that office. I turned off all the lights on my phone. I watched it
made like a little movie theater.
Exactly. And then after it finished, her name is Emily. Shout out to you, Emily. I opened the door and I said, Emily, get in here. And we watched it together. So I remember exactly. And that was the spark that lit the fire that put me here now.
Right.
That started me back into Star Wars. So yes, that visual that I believe you're going to be talking about is something that's burned in my brain of like, wait, this ball thing is real?
Yeah. But it was just the new design. It took me off guard. And this will be positive. And I know we always want to keep it positive, but I actually didn't expect myself to like BB-8 as much as I did. And it's not like I was coming at it with a skepticism of like, oh, new droid, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, I don't know. R2 had a special place in my heart. All the other droids had a special place. I was like, I want to see what they do. But even just like, obviously the personality, BB-8's hilarious.
Yes.
And the soundscape that they did with everything else, everything they do with the droids is incredible. But I hate to be like boring about it, but just the functionality of BB-8 really drew me in. It's like just seeing him being able to roll through the sand. It's like, why would you not? Like that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like R2-D2, again, it's Star Wars. It's fun. I don't want to get super practical about it because again, throwing gravity and everything's off, gravity.
We don't talk about gravity in Star Wars, please.
Right. So, I just think of R2-D2 going through the desert and then he goes on a little sand mound a little too much and then gets toppled over. And I'm sure he could shoot out a jetpack and get himself back over. But BB-8, the functionality is like, if I wanted a droid to get from point A to point B through any terrain, whether it be sand or anything, that's the droid that I would trust.
I think that's where it got its name from, point A to point BB-8.
Point A to point BB-8.
8.
So BB-8, all 7 of them.
BB-8 is number 3 for us. And number 2, we've talked about him. He has a body count to him.
Yes.
He is
in the thousands.
R2-D2 is our number 2 when it comes to Astromechs. Logan, I mean, what can we say about R2-D2?
So I will say, I think by far R2-D2 is the most murderous droid.
Yes.
Astromech.
Well, I think he gives Darth Vader's Black Murder droid a run for its money.
I think if we did the count, I mean, you could stop at Darth Vader. Like, I think he gives Darth Vader a run for his money.
Oh, let's the next Versus episode.
Darth
Vader versus R2-D2. We're gonna fill up 20 minutes of just talking about that.
And R2-D2 would win. You know what I mean? He's got thousands of bodies. He's got the flamethrowers, the murder of R3-S6, and I don't even want to get started on his war crimes, but what he did on Felucia.
Okay, whoa. We're not gonna get into that. This is a family show. I don't want us to talk about the whole droid, cannibalism side of things. I know that was a dark period in R2's life, but I agree.
I'm just saying it needs to be looked into. We're not paying enough attention to what R2 did on Felucia. That's all I'm saying.
If people agree with you, I'd like to see some people mock up some T-shirts that say, hold R2 accountable for his war crimes.
That's all I want.
I agree. I just don't want to talk about it, this publicly. But R2-D2 is iconic. I just love when it comes to him and thinking about the original A New Hope. Just how brilliant it was to have this quote unquote exposition in this very slow moving, plot where you see that R2 has this thing. You can't understand R2 and C-3PO is bickering with them the whole time. And it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like, you think kids want all these big flashes of color and like crazy stuff going on all the time. But it's those smaller moments that really pull you in and really endears you to these people, that when he gets shot by the Jawas and taken into the Sandcrawler, you feel for it. You feel for this thing that doesn't make any human speech.
George Lucas found, and the whole team that worked on the movie found a great way to, only by using droids, like humanize these characters much. You know, like he used droids, a non-human creature, or a non-human character rather.
Yeah.
To pull us into the whole world of Star Wars. You know, that's what pulls you into the whole world of Star Wars and New Hope. Like we got
pulled right into these little doors right next to, see that?
Look at those.
We could have gotten right into those.
You could go right into that little eye socket.
Yeah.
Got pulled right in.
But yeah, R2, I mean, how could we not put him this high on the list, even if he has caused the deaths of many, maybe even innocent people?
R2's a real one. He's a trooper.
Yeah.
He was there in the beginning. He'll be there in the end.
But that brings us to the end of this list, which is R2-KT. Now, if you guys don't know what R2-KT is, I'm going to give you a little bit of a brief history on it. It's by far my favorite droid of all time, and I can prove it with an actual picture of me hugging the real one at Celebration. It was an amazing thing. I walked past the booth and I asked, I'm like, is this the real R2-KT? And the person said, yes. I'm like, can I touch it?
Can I touch it?
And I was able to get this amazing picture with it because the story is fantastic. The droid was called R2-KT, the droid with a heart of gold, and it was created by the R2-D2 Builders Club in 2005 as a tribute to Katie Johnson, the 7-year-old daughter of Albin Johnson, the founder of the 501st Legion Costuming Group, which is, by the way, an amazing group. They do a lot of great charity work as well. Katie was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer in 2004. R2-KT watched over Katie during her final days, just like she had wished after seeing R2-D2 watch over Padme in Revenge of the Sith. That's how she asked. She wanted to have a guardian angel as well, and these people built this droid for her.
Right.
R2-KT would go on to appear in Clone Wars after Dave Filoni found out about it and mocked it up and put it in the cartoon, and also was featured in The Force Awakens in live action, which that's what I'm talking about. This is the exact droid that I met, was the one that they made for Katie and the one that they put in The Force Awakens. So be sure to check out in the Resistance parts of the movie. You'll see this pink droid in the background, just kind of going from like ship to ship.
Yeah, you can see KT being like loaded in the ships and everything like that.
Yeah,
so super cool.
It's a super cool story. How could we not put R2-KT at number one? But that's the thing. That's what these droids mean to people. Like we were just talking about, you see R2-D2 get injured in the first Star Wars and you feel for it, you know?
Yeah.
And these weird trash cans have become such a pivotal part for Star Wars fans. Yeah.
Well, they're companions, you know, like we said too in the beginning with BB-8 and the function. Astromechs are about the function of the droid. And over the course of the franchise and the movies, we've seen part of the function of these astromechs, I think, cross over into companionship.
Yes.
You know, they are a companion. They go with you on journeys. They will watch over you in a hospital bed. They will watch over Padme. They will, like, that is a bit of a companion to it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's awesome.
And if you take a look at even Poe and BB-8's relationship, you know, BB-8, my buddy,
right?
You know, like you're here. They're like little companions, so much so that, like, look at R2's companionship with Luke.
Yep.
Even there's a funny part in Force Awakens. One of the first times I was watching it, I'm just shouting out many people with old host of the show, Johnny Trowbridge. We were watching it and we had seen it once already. And then we saw it like the next day again, right away. And there's that scene where R2 goes over and uncovers C-3PO.
Yeah.
And in that whole scene, they're explaining, they're trying to find Luke. Where's Luke? R2 seems to know part of where Luke is and all this stuff. And then R2 like goes away from that conversation. He goes over to, it was BB-8. Sorry, BB-8 went from that conversation, goes over to R2-D2 and pulls the curtain off.
Right.
But I always thought, how funny would it be if BB-8 went over to that like blanket, pulled it off, and Luke was just under that, like, shh. BB-8, don't tell anybody I'm right here.
BB-8, no.
But that's
R2's over there.
Yeah, R2, put the blanket back on me. Don't tell anybody. Yeah. But no, I mean, that's how R2 was, though. He kind of knew where Luke was and went into a catatonic state, so no one could find him. Like, that is some very, like, some loyalty right there.
Right.
Is R2 being like, you know what? I know where he is. I'm not going to tell you guys.
Yeah, he doesn't talk. R2 doesn't sing.
Did you know that they were supposed to have R2 speak English in an early draft? He was going to talk. Yeah.
Just straight like, hey guys, it's me, R2.
Hey, it's me, R2D2.
Hey, it's me.
Back off there, C3PO.
See,
that wouldn't have worked.
It would. I mean, it wouldn't have worked for a lot of reasons, but I think one of the main things of why R2D2 and C3PO and that whole relationship between, I know it's not an astromech or a droid, but even between Chewbacca and Han, that there's so much comedy in there of like someone, you're not actually knowing what they're saying, but the other character is kind of knowing what they're saying. So they're kind of translating for the audience and like that. There's so much would be lost in there if R2D2 were just to be like, hey guys, it's me, R2D2. This is what I think, you know? So.
I agree. So that goes to you guys. What do you think is the greatest astromech in all of Star Wars? Put it in the comments. Share this video with some of your favorite astromech loving fans out there. I know one of our patrons, Jacoby, I think he's a captain or an ensign. He was putting together a real life BB-8. He's a big awesome. BB-8 fan. So that one goes out to you, Jacoby. So many shout outs today. But let's give some more shout outs to our culture slate brethren and sistren.
Brethren and sistren?
Yeah, okay. So if you want to learn about Star Wars news, you should check out Star Wars Underworld. And I believe they stream on Thursdays.
Yes. Hear the latest chat about Star Wars pop culture from the two hosts that couldn't live further away from each other, with Star Wars culture streaming on Wednesdays.
Yes. And we also want to give a shout out to Everything Geek coming from the rollout. And that is Fridays. I believe it's around 3 for us, but I think it's noon for Pacific time. We're all over the place. Hannah's in Australia. A lot of Culture Slate is in California. So
we're in Cleveland. Right.
Time stands still for Culture Slate. And coming soon, whenever time moves again, we are giving a shout out to Star Wars culture. Star Trek culture. We're giving another shout out to Star Wars culture.
They get 2,
but also Star Trek culture.
You only get 1
because they're our biggest nemesis.
True.
Because think about it. They're Star Trek fans. We're Star Wars fans.
They would never mesh.
Yeah. Ever. Could I make it any more obvious? You know what I mean? I don't know how to add in Skater Boy the rest of this.
I think we have it queued up here.
Yeah, we just have Skater Boy up here at all times. But yeah, oh my goodness. Look at this.
Whoa.
Star Wars culture. We are big Coleman Trevor stands. Guys, you're a week late on the whole thing. That was last week. We did the whole
Coleman Trevor
Geonosian battle thing.
Is everything that is wrong with the paper industry. Okay. Just way to know that.
Logan, let's just give shout outs to our patrons and get out of here.
Shout outs to our patrons. Sounds good.
Shout out to you, Commodore Marroquin. Commodore Rayside.
Commodore Benty.
And
Commodore Mellish.
If you want to help us do this show, go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Chatter Squadron. Rise the ranks. You get post-show show notes, shout outs, and you can come back next week for more fun and villainy. Logan, do you want to give them anything else?
Or anything else?
Choose some ice into their ears?
Sure. Here's one ice.
Well, now I just was expecting him to have some ice. So don't make me kick your ice for doing that.
Oh.
Yeah, we should have ended this like 3 minutes ago.
Getting close.